In a month that has quickly zoomed by, we have finally reached the week of the May mid-season tournament. There's a lot of information we need to be aware of heading into this thing, and since I won't be doing my predictions for every single game like you'd see me do for every week of the regular season, I thought I could use this video as a way to discuss some potential things to look out for in what I'm going to call a fan guide. Before that though, I thought I could explain some of the formatting stuff just one more time for those who still may be a little bit lost or haven't really been paying attention, so let's give a quick rundown of how this thing is going to work so everybody feels refreshed. So the mid-season tournament will consist of two brackets, one for the teams located in Asia and the other for those in America. The things on the line in this tournament are prize money, bragging rights, and most importantly, bonus wins towards a team's regular season record if they finish in the top 3 of their respective tournament. The reward system in place is quite simple. If your team gets first place, you receive 3 bonus wins, second place is going to get 2, and your third place finisher will take home 1. While this could just be the rich get richer type of deal, someone could also get hot at the right time and find a way to sneak into that top 3. For the teams who are on the cusp of making the playoffs, these extra wins could end up being invaluable in the extra push needed to lock up their spot by the time the regular season is over for the playoffs. Keep in mind that these tournament matches do not count towards a team's overall record though unless they get the bonus wins. Now let's discuss the rule set and format. The main rules to remember are that there are no hero pools and that every round is the first to 3 map wins with the exception of the finals, which is first to 4. With there being no hero pools in play, we could end up seeing a standard universal comp since everybody will know for sure what is the most powerful thing to run. However, with every hero now being on the table, there's also a possibility that we see a ton of counterplay and variation. If I had to take a guess as to what the meta might be, I'm leaning towards the echo comps and stuff we saw before hero bans were a thing. Either that or maybe Double Shield May Bunker. Let's talk the tournament itself now. In the North American region, you have 13 teams competing over the next 3 days. On Friday, you have a knockout round to decide who will be joining the top 4 teams in the quarterfinals. The teams who will be participating in this stage of the tournament are the Defiant, Titans, Uprising, Justice, Outlaws, Fuel, Gladiators, Reign, and Eternal. As the bottom 2 seeds, Toronto and Vancouver will square off at 1 p.m. Eastern Time in a qualification game to decide the 8th and final team joining the knockout stage. Once that outcome has been decided, it'll be on the top seeds to choose their opponents. Since the Paris Eternal are the highest seed in the knockout stage, they get to pick first. They'll have the option of choosing the winner of the Toronto-Vancouver game or either the Outlaws, Justice, or Uprising. After that, the order goes Reign, then Gladiators, with the Fuel getting whoever is left after the others choose. Once the winners of those games have been decided, we'll move on to Saturday where we get the quarterfinals. Like with the round before it, the highest 3 seeds get to choose who they play. The order of the selection process for this round goes as follows: Shock, Mayhem, then Fusion, with the Valiant taking on whoever didn't get picked. From here on out, the tournament will play out like any other standard single elimination bracket. The winners of the Shock Valiant matches advance to one semifinal with the Fusion Mayhem games in the other, and that semifinal round will also be played on Saturday if you were wondering. After those games conclude, the North American Tournament Finals will take place on Sunday. And that's basically how the North American tournament is going to work. It has a few complications, but the whole selection process adds this extra element of excitement as you never know when somebody might pick a team you weren't expecting them to. Anybody else remember when the Glads picked the Valiant in the Stage 4 playoffs during 2018? That was a very unexpected move and outcome. But they did put on a good show for the fans while attempting to gain some bragging rights. I'd kill to see something like that happen once again this year. Now let's move on over to the Asian region, which is way easier to explain. It's a lot more basic considering there's only 7 teams participating in all. The picks for that tournament were locked in a while ago, so all you really need to know is that Shanghai picked London and that New York chose Chengdu, meaning that the Spark were left with the Dynasty. Since the Charge had the best record in the month of May, they get the first round bye as the number 1 seed. This is the only time the Asian region will select opponents, by the way, so it'll end up being a standard tournament for this entire event. On Saturday, the quarterfinals and semifinals will commence. The winners of the Spark Dynasty game will play the Charge in the semis, while the winners of the other 2 play each other. And like with North America, the grand finals for this region is scheduled for Sunday. And that's pretty much everything there is to explain about the Asian tournament. Friday through Sunday we get North American matches, and Saturday through Sunday is Asian games. Simple enough, right? If you have any lingering questions, then feel free to drop them down in the comment section, as I'm sure either myself or somebody else will be able to answer it. Now for the rest of the video, I wanted to take some time to talk about my expectations and some of the things I'll be on the lookout for in these tournaments. So with no hero pools in play, I'm assuming that teams with less flexibility are going to have a better chance. My expectation is that those who have the best understanding of the meta will be the ones to go far in this thing. It's less about improvising and more about perfecting set strategies, and luckily, teams have extra chances to see what works by studying games that happened before theirs. Another thing that interests me is if certain teams are going to stray away from the pack in terms of what they play. I expect it from somebody like the Hunters, obviously, but what about, let's say, the Dynasty? Would they consider it too? What Seoul needs to succeed is a double shield meta where they can slow down the pace and get maximum effectiveness out of their tanks. If the meta proves to go in a different direction, then they might decide to play it anyway since that is the composition that has found them success so far. Don't forget about their Echo weakness. Perhaps them and a few other teams that struggle with Echo will just play anti-Echo comps instead. Seoul in particular are a team to monitor very closely. Everybody keeps calling them double shield one-tricks who can't play Echo. Let's see if they have what it takes to silence their critics or not. There's also the possibility of seeing Slime, so that's all the more reason to pay attention to them. Another team I'm kind of looking forward to watching over in the Asian region is the Charge. Guangzhou piques my interest because they've been playing a lot better as of late, which is pretty evident by their top seed. But will they be able to keep up that level of play? With how inconsistent they've been in Season 3, it's really hard to tell. If they do well in this tournament, then they might start being taken more seriously. If they can make it to the finals and maybe take a map or two off their opponents, then I'll be fully convinced that they have made meaningful progress. When focusing in on North America now, there's a few teams I'm very much looking forward to watching, the biggest of which is the Florida Mayhem. I've heard some people say that they are not yet convinced they are a solid team. It's fair to have your doubts about them still, if you ask me. Sure, they crushed Paris, which is very impressive, but all their other games have come against weak teams who are either struggling or rebuilding. Beating Boston twice and taking down the likes of the Justice and Titans is nothing to brag about. What I'd like for them to do at the very least in this tournament is prove to me that the Paris win was not a fluke. I'm searching for a reason to believe that they truly will stay competitive moving forward. Let's see if they can at least make it to the semifinals. I'd be pretty happy with them if they beat whoever they chose to play in the quarterfinals and gave their opponent in these semis a run for their money. If the Mayhem can do that, I firmly believe people's confidence in them will surely start to increase. While we're talking about teams I'm looking forward to in North America, how about the Boston Uprising? They just got a huge win over the Gladiators. Their new off-tank Punk seems to have given them new life. What if Boston pulls off an upset in this tournament? If they showcase some bright spots, then that might signal that they're making a type of resurgence, if you will. It's been a long time since I've said this, but I'm low-key looking forward to seeing Boston play. A few other teams I plan to watch carefully are the Valiant and Eternal. The Valiant interest me because they're on a nice little winning streak currently, and I'd love to see if they could use that momentum to help them win a playoff game. If they pull it off, then it would go to really show just how much they surpassed people's expectations this year, from a predicted league bottom feeder to a potential decent playoff team. That would make for one heck of a storyline, would it not? As for Paris, I'm just really interested to see how far they could go in general. They are a very good team even though they aren't at full strength. If they could make some serious noise and be competitive until the very end without Exy and Sparkle, then that would go to show just how scary they could be at their full potential. Not only that, but it would prove that many of their other players should be considered reliable and top tier at their respective positions. While this is only a taste of what Paris could truly be because they have their training weights on, if you will, I'm expecting their players to give it their all. I look forward to seeing what this half French, half Korean team could do. Looking at these events as a whole, my one hope with these tournaments is that we get to witness some good Overwatch. That's all I'm looking for. I'd be very satisfied if we could just get some close games. And with teams like the Shock and Fusion on a collision course to possibly play each other, I'm sure I'll eventually get my wish. Seeing Paris or another team pull off an upset or two would be pretty cool as well. But more than anything, I'm kind of hoping we get NYXL versus Shanghai Part 2. I need to see a rematch. Let's see if Shanghai is the true undisputed #1 team in Asia. Or imagine if we get Paris versus Philly Part 4. That would be sick. There's so much potential for this tournament to provide a lot of entertainment. Between seeing who gets the bonus wins, seeing potential upsets, getting some close games, and even some epic storylines in general, this May Melee tournament has me all types of excited. It feels like stage playoffs are back, and that was a fan favorite part of the season to sit back and enjoy back in the day. And I love the idea of making it higher stakes than it used to be. It gives you more incentive to seriously try since it can prove to make a difference come playoff time. With that said, that pretty much wraps up my fan guide to the Overwatch League May Melee tournament. There's a lot to potentially be looking forward to here. in general, we get a lot of good games to watch, and it'll essentially make for a very eventful 3-day weekend, if you will. Let me know what you're looking forward to down in the comment section. Tell me what sounds interesting. And of course, it would make my day if you could hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new, as it helps me out a ton. After that, consider following me on Twitter, joining the Discord, or becoming a channel member. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.